Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for taking out the time from your busy schedules to be here for this presentation. I hope all of you are finding all of these sessions in DITAWORLD 2024 quite interesting and useful. So we have another session where we will talk at length about how content quality and compliance can be achieved through Schematron within Adobe Experience Manager Guides. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Shreya Gupta and I'm a product expert in Adobe Experience Manager Guides. I'm currently working as a solutions consultant with Adobe Systems for AEM Guides. Let's quickly understand the agenda of this session. Today, we will talk about the challenges that we often hear related to content authoring, be it content authors or administrators who set up the content authoring rules. Then we will see what is Schematron and how it can be utilized within content authoring. We will have a demo where I'll explain what AEM Guides is capable of in terms of content validation using Schematron language. And then we will also see what further improvements and new features are in the pipeline of the product roadmap. I'll wrap up the session by discussing some important takeaways from this session. And please feel free to post your queries during the presentation and we'll try to answer them parallelly. It is crucial for any business to have content out which follows a specific corporate style guide. The content needs to follow a standardized format which is accepted by the customer's business team. Now, manually maintaining all specifications required by an enterprise is a time-consuming and a labor-intensive job for content authors. Moreover, we have seen that inconsistent terminology often causes low-quality content and leads to confusion. Think about a large enterprise customer whose technical documentation has a typo error in the syntax of, let's say, a sample code. This will result in incorrect understanding of the audience consuming that code, causing damage to the reputation of the organization. Hence, using inconsistent terminology also causes error in translation processes to different language for multilingual websites. To avoid these problems and these specific use cases, customers often carry out their own compliance review, which in result takes too much time and resources as well. One another challenge that authors face is ensuring that the content being authored has all the attributes whenever required. For example, missing alt attribute in images can often lead to accessibility issues in the live content. Now, there's also a requirement for many enterprise customers, for example, let's say financial institutions, where content audits happen frequently. Hence, there is a need to automate this process to increase efficiency. Therefore, it again requires to maintain audit teams, which further increases the project cost. So, to overcome these challenges to make content seamless, error-free, consistent, and of high quality, there comes a need to have some kind of automated content validation and checks in place. Now, all of this can be achieved can be done via Schematron content validation. So let us understand in detail what Schematron is all about and how it can be leveraged by customers to build content. Now, Schematron was developed by Rick Jelliffe in the late 1990s as an alternative to schema language for XML validation. It emerged at a time when XML schema and document type definitions were the primary schema languages for defining the structure and constraints of XML documents. The motivation behind Schematron was to provide a more expressive and flexible validation mechanism than what was offered by the existing schema languages. The aim was to create a schema language that could handle complex validation rules and constraints that were difficult to express using traditional schema languages. What Schematron is, by definition, is a rule-based validation language for making assertions about the presence or absence of patterns in any XML documents. It primarily focuses on the structure and data type of the XML documents, and it allows to express more complex rules and constraints using a simple and flexible syntax. Schematron differs from other schema languages in several key aspects. Number one is that it is a rule based validation. That is, unlike XML schema and DTDs, which primarily focuses on describing the structure of XML documents, Schematron is based on rules. These rules allow the developers to express a wide range of constraints and conditions that may not be easily representable in any other schema languages. Another important point of differentiation is that Schematron is XPath based. Now, Schematron rules are written using XPath expressions, which provide a powerful and an expressive way to navigate and query XML documents. This allows for highly granular validation based on the content and the context of the XML data. I'll explain more about the context and how it can be used and what it means in our live demo as well. It is also assertion based. Schematron rules are typically expressed as assertions, which state conditions that must be true for the XML document to be considered valid. Now, this makes it well suited for enforcing business logic and domain specific constraints. Over the years, Schematron has gained popularity in various domains where complex XML validation requirements exist, such as publishing, healthcare, finance, and government standards. It has been widely adopted as a complementary or alternative validation mechanism through in comparison to traditional schema languages, offering developers a more versatile tool for ensuring the integrity and the correctness of the content. Now, moving ahead, I just wanted to explain what schematron file exactly look like and how to write this schematron validation rules. So this here is a basic schematron file that I have included, which this rule checks whether the XML element, which is the contract date, contains a date that is greater than the current date. If this check fails, then the validation fails and the user receives an error message. And the error message you can see is defined in the assert element. So what this rule does is that it ensures that the content authored and made public for the audiences to consume will never have any incorrect date or contract date as a future date. And this is just a basic rule showcased here to show the power of the schema language. Authors can make highly complex rules to ensure all the business requirements are met before putting any content out for any organization. Moving on, let's discuss in detail why and where Schematron can be applied. Now, Schematron allows to write complex rules and is more powerful than other traditional schema languages as we discussed. It is capable of providing more descriptive error messages. Now, this is an important point. What I mean by this is that administrators can provide meaningful custom error messages for non-technical authors, and they can understand and correct their content while authoring. Just to explain this in a more detail, there would be some admin or somebody who is handling these schematron rules. So they will basically write the rules and write the error messages, which will be displayed on the screen. Now, your author may be non-technical, so whenever he will run those validation checks, he will just understand the plain English that the error has been written in, and he will understand what's wrong with the content and try to fix it. That's why these descriptive error messages are of important use and are a useful feature of Schematron. Now, they can also pinpoint the exact location of the error. I'll showcase this more in the demo. Another important aspect of this language is that it allows context-specific feedback. That means different rules can be set for different contexts. Let's understand this with an example. Suppose you have different elements in your XML document. You have a paragraph and you have a title, and you want different type of checks for your paragraphs and different type of checks and rules for your title. So what you can do is you can set up context. So any rules which are written with context set as paragraph will only be applicable to the paragraph elements. And all the rules which are written with context set as title will be applicable to all the title elements. This further ensures that the quality check that happens within a schematron file, it happens on a very granular level and also ensures linguistic compliance within organizations. Schematron is commonly employed to meet the regulatory compliance requirements. It helps ensure that XML data adheres to regulatory standards, data privacy laws, and industry specific regulations. It is highly capable of validating technical content against the desired product specification, which ensures quality control in manufacturing. Also, in software documentation, it enforces rules which helps authors adhere to technical and formatting standards. And similarly, in telecommunication, it helps in achieving industry and company specific rules by validation of technical documentation. Now, we've seen customers from different domains whose needs are aligned when it comes to content validation using Schematron to produce high quality digital content. For example, software companies and technology firms incorporate Schematron into their development processes for the validating XML-based configurational files or data interchange format or API documentation. Schematron helps maintain data consistency and quality in software products and platforms. Publishing companies use Schematron to validate XML documents in publishing workflows, ensuring adherence to industry standards. It also helps in maintaining consistency and quality in the published article, books, and other published content. Government agencies leverage Schematron for validating XML data in regulatory documents, whether it's government forms or data exchange formats. Schematron ensures compliance with regulatory standards and norms. Another example can be that aerospace and defense organization use Schematron to validate XML-based specification, technical documents, and data exchange formats required for defense contracts and aerospace engineering projects. Other than these, there are financial institutions, banks, insurance companies that rely on Schematron to validate XML data related to financial transactions, regulatory reporting, and also help in setting up in following compliance with industry standards such as ISO. Now, these are just a few examples of organizations and industries that can benefit from using Schematron for XML validation. Its flexibility and expressive power makes it suitable for a wide range of applications where precise validation of XML data is essential. So I think we've heard a lot about what Schematron is and why it should be used and who should use it. Now let us quickly jump into the demo and see how it actually works. So the demo is in two parts, where in the first part, I'll showcase the content validation capabilities via Schematron within the current Adobe Experience Manager Guides GA version, which is available for our customers to use. And then we will see what all features are aligned for the future upcoming AEM Guides releases. So this is a local AEM setup which has a guides enabled on it. This is the landing page of AEM instance, and if you click on this guides, we will be seeing the XML editor. Now this is the XML editor of AEM Guides. This editor can be used to create new content, author new content, and also whatever content is available within the AEM instance is also visible through this interface. Let's open any of the maps. So here I have a map and some topics under this map. Now suppose I want to run Schematron validation or content checks on this specific topic. What I would first need is that there should be some rules or some files containing Schematron rules available on this instance. How we can add those files is we can simply go to the repository view and we can add a folder here, and on the file folder context menu, I can click on upload assets. I can either choose the Schematron files from any of the other folders within this AEM, or if the Schematron files are not available within this AEM instance, I can simply click on choose files and upload the Schematron files from my local desktop or local machine. Now I already have certain files available, so we will be using this Schematron file for content validation check today. Now let us go back to our topic and see how we can run the Schematron validation. So this is our topic where we want to run the checks. How we can do that is we can simply go to this right hand side panel and click on this Schematron button. Now here we first need to add the Schematron files. So I'll click on this plus button. This will open the assets view, and this view is this contains all of the assets within your AEM instance. So I'll navigate to my folder where I have uploaded these Schematron files. So I'll choose this and select. Now this schematron file will be used to run the validation check on this particular topic. I'll just simply click on validate with schematron available on the top of this right hand side panel, and see what it does is that it runs those checks and it gives me two of the errors. Now suppose your content is quite long and you don't want to manually understand or manually hover throughout your document. So what you can do is you can simply click on this error and it will highlight the part where your content has some errors. So let's try to fix this content. It says that this must be bold in the title element. So I'll click on this insert element and I'll click a bold tag here, and I'll just cut out this Apollo title and paste it inside the bold tag and click on save. Now let's rerun the validation. As you can see, that particular error is gone because we have fixed one of the titles. Now let's try to fix another as well. So this particular title got highlighted. Let's try to make this bold as well. Doing the same thing, I'm just entering the bold element and copying the uh, title and putting inside the bold element. Again, saving the file. I just rerun the validation. So now it says file has been validated successfully. So this is a basic example where I've showed how authors can quickly run the validation checks from this panel using Adobe Experience Manager Guides and correct their content before publishing. Now there is another way where administrators can enforce the authors that they are not even able to save the file before fixing their files. Let me explain, but first let's again remove the bold element from here, and I'll just go to source view and remove this bold tag. And I'll just click on save. So going back now, this title is not bold again. So let's try to see how we can ensure that that any author is not even able to save the file before fixing all the content. So what we can do is from the editor setting in the top toolbar, let's click on validation and then run validation check before saving. Now, when you want any user to be able to run validation check before even saving the file, then you have to give the schematron file in advance. So let's again go to the schematron folder and select the schematron file. Now let me try to make some changes to this this particular topic. So I've just changed the spelling. Now let me try to save this. So because we have mentioned, we have given a setting to not be able to save the file unless all of the checks are, all of the errors are corrected. We are not able to save this file. As you can see, this dirty checker is still there. The file is not saved with this latest change. So what I'll do is I'll just fix this again. I'll just add the bold element again here and try to save again. Now, because I have because I've fixed the first error, I also have to fix the second one. So let me try to just shorten this and just say the Apollo spacecraft and try to save again. Now, because I have fixed all of those two errors, I'm able to save the file now, and I'm able to save any other changes that I want to do. So this is how authors are enforced to correct their document, because it will not allow them to save, and hence it will ensure that all of the content that is getting published is actually passing the validation check. Now, this is the existing features and existing capability which is available for our customers to use, and how you can upload Schematron files and run validation checks within your AEM Experience Manager Guides instance. Now, in our future releases, we are trying to add more capabilities into this for this feature. So let's quickly see all of the new and exciting features that we have incorporated in our upcoming releases. So here I again have an AEM instance, and I have the same Apollo data map with some content. Now, one of the major features that we have incorporated is that till now it's only capable of running the schematron checks on single topic. But what if we want to run the checks on a complete map, and we want to see all the errors that are there within all the topics within that map together? So what we can do is we can simply go to the schematron again and click on plus sign and add a schematron files. So this schematron mail will be, let me try to add another file. Yeah. So this file will be used to run the validation check. Now, as you can see, this interface is different from what we saw earlier. This has two options, validate and validate on dependence. Now, this validate on dependence is useful for any map or any topic which has further references into it. So let's click on this and see what happens. As you can see, we have many errors within different data files. And if you observe, these data files are the same ones which are a part of this map. So the order in which your data files are present, or the topic references are present, in the same order, we have the name of the file, and we have all the errors that are inside that file. So this is an interesting feature where instead of running the checks on a single data topic, you can just run the validation once, and you can just run the validation in a single go for a map, and then you can get all of the errors in one go. Now, one another thing to note here is, in our earlier instance where we were seeing the schematron errors, let's just quickly see it here. You would see that I was always seeing a single icon in these files. But in the newer versions, we have given the capability to admins to add different error criticality level to different errors. So if you can see here, we have warning and info, and we have used different icons for this. Now, how this can be authored is that you can just see any of the schematron file here. Let me go to the schematron file that we are using for validation. So as you can see, I've given this role as info or role as error. So this ensures that different errors have different criticality icons, which allows the author to understand which errors are more critical than others. And hence they can probably try to fix and plan their work according to the criticality of the errors. Now, one small change is that, as you can notice, in the schematron files here, we are not seeing the file name, but we are seeing the title of the schematron. So if you look at the schematron file here, we have mentioned the title. In the current release, we provide the file name instead of the title, but in the future releases, what we have done is that we have given the capability to show the actual title of the file name. So this allows the authors to understand which rules are actually being applied on the topic. Now, another important feature I would say that has been discussed and implemented in this is usage of variables. So suppose you have a rule where you want to say that all of your characters must be greater than 100 in your short description, or less than 100, any kind of rule which specifies a number. Now, instead of mentioning 100 in all of your rules, you can set up a variable as showed here, you can set up a variable like short description min length as 100, and then you can use this variable in your schematron file. And then in future, suppose you want to change the variable and the business now says that the short description should be less than 50, then you just need to come here in this config.json and change the value of this variable from 100 to 50. Let me also show you where this is used. So this is another schematron file. So here we have given a rule that the short description should be less than this value. In our earlier examples, we were manually entering 100 here. But here we have created a variable with this specific syntax, and this short description min length value is being taken from this config.json file. So all authors or admins have to do is set up some config.json file which has all of your variables and use a certain syntax in your schematron files, which allows the administrators who are writing the rules to not write that same value again and again, and they can just use this variable wherever they want to mention this value. So these are some of the important features that we are incorporating in our future releases, and more work is definitely going on into the development of the schematron and this feature, and we would love to hear if you have any feedback on what exciting features do you want to see. So let's end this demo and go back to our presentation. Okay, so that was our demo where we showcased the Schematron validation capabilities within current Adobe Experience Manager Guides, and also some of the features that will be coming up in our Adobe Experience Manager Guides future releases. Towards the end of the session, I want to discuss some of the key takeaways of this session. So after this session of Schematron, we should have a basic understanding of what Schematron is and what it is exactly capable of. Just to summarize it again, it is an ISO standardized XML-based schema language which can be used to build complex validations, which is not offered by other schema languages and other traditional languages out there. We stressed on the fact that Schematron can be used to enhance quality, content checks, and validations to produce error-free content. Now, this should be considered as a standard practice by organizations such as government agencies, financial institutions, banks, software giants, publishing houses, etc., as it helps in ensuring compliance with industry standards. AEM integration with Schematron can help authors, reviewers, quality managers, and administrators to work more efficiently and to enforce some checks which uh, confirms and which gives a guarantee that the content published will always be seamless and error-free. That brings me to the end of this session. We are open to hearing any questions or suggestions from all of you. I hope you all had a wonderful session, and thanks for joining with us today. We have some informative sessions lined up within Data World 2024, so please stay tuned. And once again, thank you so much for joining.